another very special episode of The Playbook. I am KPLC Sports Director Ryan Blakely, joined here by the McNeese women's tennis coach, Sonia Carlson. Thank you so much for coming in and talking tennis with me. You know, my knowledge of tennis basically ends at, it's kind of like pickleball. I enjoy a lot of pickleball, so hopefully you can teach me a lot here in our conversation. But what a season for you guys, coming off a historic season, first outright Southland Conference championship. Just what was the year for the whole? What did that do for this program?
Well, it just gave us a lot of exposure, you know, thinking about it and reflecting back on how the season went. We just, while we were doing it, it was one at a time, just weekend by weekend. We didn't know really what was happening. We just kept adding wins. And then towards the end of it, it was like, okay, we're this close to breaking this record. We're that close to breaking that record. So then that's when it got tight at the end. But our goal was just like to just do it one at a time, just put into play everything we had been working on, and you know, like my first season here, we fell short just a bunch of times. We knew we could do it, we fell short, and just proving to not just to everybody else but to ourselves that we could do it was just so rewarding. Yeah,
and I don't mean to get negative right away, but obviously you won the outright conference championship in the regular season, and then couldn't get it done in the tournament. Just kind of what happened in the tournament, and just why don't you think you guys were able to get over that hump?
Yeah, we also reflected a lot on that. It was, I think the pressure kind of got to us. All season, we were the underdogs. Like, if there would have been a preseason poll, I don't think we would have been necessarily that, like, outright champ chosen, and that's okay. The previous season, we lost 4-3 to all the top teams. We were fifth, barely losing to everybody. And so, you know, everybody kind of had that, like, you know, like they knew we were going to be tough. We recruited well. We got better on court with the same roster. We ended up playing with the same exact roster this year. And then in the tournament, we went from being the underdog to being the team to beat, being the #1 seed outright. You know, everybody we played our best match against everybody else during the season, and then everybody else played their best match against us, and SFA just competed very well. They knew how to get it done. They had the exact same team as the previous year when they did win the Southland championship, and so we just fell short. We fell short, and we learned a lot.
What kind of things did you learn from that experience of kind of getting that feeling of being the hunted rather than the hunters?
Yeah, our doubles has been essential this season, and it was a difference maker, you know, from like being able to win all these matches to like falling short. And in the tournament, when we just started a little bit slow in that doubles, something told me like this is going to be really hard to pick up. And you know, like I have a lot of faith in our singles. We're very good singles players. Got a lot better in the doubles court, but we are just superior in singles, especially at that bottom lineup. And then just, you know, we picked it up on court 1, lost a little bit faster. Court 2 played a very good match, kind of fast, gave us that point, and then it fell on court 3, where, you know, you can't really be mad. They had an outstanding season. They went 20-3 this season with a true freshman playing in there. And that was the one day where they started slow. They had not done that all season. That was the one day they started slow. They picked it back up. They came back. We ended up losing on the tiebreaker. It was tough. It was tough to see them lose because, you know, they felt that pressure. Everybody felt that pressure going into singles of like, we have not been in this situation. We always start singles with the 1 point. And that pressure kind of got to them. Elena put us on the board real fast. She played real well. And then a lot of the matches were tight, and ultimately just we couldn't do it.
I have to admit, a couple of the terminology and stuff they're using is a little foreign to me, so kind of wrap my head around everything. So how as simple as you can put it, so we're not here for an hour, but just how do they kind of score? Do you guys play? So you play doubles first and then singles. So how does all that work?
So with the same girls that you have on the roster, they can play either. They can play both. Okay. And so when you play in a dual match, match, you start with the doubles, and then you have your line 1, 2, and 3 by order of ability, and all of those count for 1 point. So you're gonna win 2 out of those 3.
Okay.
So in that case, like we lost that court 1, we won court 2, and then it fell. All the pressure was on court 3. You know, they ended up losing that, so then that put us on the board 1-0 behind. So then each singles points counts for 1. Okay. And so then you do have a lot of opportunities, and ultimately we're good in singles, so we can do it. We've been able to win matches with just our singles points. But, you know, getting you that 1-0 start and all that is yeah, it gives you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and just it's kind of like an individual sport, but also a team sport.
Yeah.
As the coach, how do you kind of manage both of those? Is that kind of challenging to kind of have everyone play as well as they can individually, but also be a team player as well?
Yeah, no, when these girls get here, and they come from all over the world, my team's very international, a lot of them have never been in a team, and it's very cool to see the transformation. They're very excited to actually be a team player. Some of them have played other sports, other team sports. Some have not, and this is the first time they're in a team environment, and they thrive in it. Yeah, all of them, just because they all have the same goal, and like when you win, I win, you know, and if you lose, then that affects me as well, so they support each other very well. And yeah, I really do have great team players. They all like get here, they understand what we're about, and they're just very excited to be each other's teammates.
Yeah, you talked about your roster made up of people from or girls from everywhere around the globe. You got 2 from Japan, a couple from other places around the globe. Just how is that a challenge to kind of get everyone to mix early on in the season? Obviously, you had them for 2 years now, but going back to last year, was that a difficult thing for you to manage?
Not really. Tennis in college and especially in Division I, it's very, very international. I do have great kids. I brag about them all of the time. I got here with all of them. We only had 1 returner last season, so 7 of them were new to McNeese and new to me. But you know, we all just showed up, and like I call it my freshman season too sometimes. And you know, I just finished my sophomore season here. And so no, they were really excited to play college tennis. I had a very, very young team last year with 5 freshmen. This year it was still a young team with 4 sophomores and 1 freshman, and then only 2 juniors. I didn't even have a senior this year. And one of my juniors was injured, so we were still a young team. So then they're just like a sponge, you know. They get here, they're just ready to learn, they're just ready to show up, and they really enjoy what they're around, what their environment is like here. So, you know, they just listen well, and they perform.
Yeah, what's that process of finding girls from Japan and all these different ones? I mean, it's hard enough to recruit just in the country, but now you're going to all the different countries. So just what's kind of the process, and how do you find just those special gems in all across the world? Yeah,
a lot of it is connections. A lot of it is, you know, like throughout the years, just like knowing some of these girls have agents, you know, they work with an agency that helps them choose the right school, and, you know, like knows all the coaches, so they can kind of advise them, you know, per se. And so a lot of it is just me having those relationships, having built those relationships over the years. And the other part is going and getting them. So like whenever I got the job summer 24, I like they announced it like late June, and then I started July 1st. Well, July 7th, I think, I was flying to Spain to go get, I still had spots in the roster, so, you know, it was so late in the process. I was flying to Spain to go get Elena, who turned out to be a stud for us. And, you know, one of the reasons possibly that she picked us over her other, like the other choice was another very good school in the conference, was I went there. I'm from Spain. She was, you know, she was from Spain. I went to a tournament. I talked to her parents. They just, you know, they put that on the top of the list. And so, yeah, just going and getting them. And then last summer, I don't know how many countries, but I was recruiting in the U.S. I went to Japan to see some players through connections, and you know, my sisters live there, so they also know people, visited academies. Then I went to Spain, I went to the Netherlands, I went to Germany, you know, just I went to France. you gotta, that just puts you above other coaches when you get to meet them in person and talk to them, and it's different.
Pretty good excuse to take a couple of vacations too, and see a couple of cool places. So that's awesome. That's incredible. Just obviously pretty good at the recruiting and just the coaching of it. Southern Conference Coach of the Year. Congratulations on that.
You.
And if we're talking about your freshman season, you set the record for most wins here as well. Just what kind of went into such a quick turnaround once you got here?
I mean, the program was in a very good place when I took it over, but for us, it was very important with such a young team. It was very important to just like give them a lot of confidence, and winning matches gives them confidence. And so just putting them on court so much, like we played a long fall, played a lot of tournaments in the fall. They just, I had to see them. I didn't know what I was getting, A lot of these girls, you follow through juniors and all that, but then you get to see them compete in college. You get to see them compete under pressure. You get to figure out the right lineup to win these dual matches. So it was good. And then this year, like I knew in the fall, I knew a lot better what we had to get done and what we had to work on to be more competitive in the season, because our fall, we do play tournaments, but it's our preseason.
Yeah.
They're kind of individual. They count for themselves more than for us. And then that gave me very good insight on like what we needed to do in season, what our lineup needed to be. It was. It's been going well. It's been working.
I would say undefeated in conference is working pretty well. Yeah. How would you describe your coaching style when you talk to these girls in practice and also during matches?
I think one of the things that I do is I'm very relatable. Like I'm on the younger side of coaches. I'm one of the youngest in the conference, if not the youngest. I can't really, but pretty young, and around, when we go play these matches. And I was an international student. When I first got here, my first season, I kept telling them I was you 10 years ago. Exactly 10 years ago, I was getting to the U.S. for the first time. Was getting picked up by my coach in the airport. I kept telling them 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And so I think a lot of the things is like I understand them well. I know what they're going through. I can relate to them, they can relate to me, and so I think that's one of the things, and like my door's always open. So just building that trust and that communication and those relationships early on really helped me just build trust.
Yeah.
And so then they bought in really quick, and we just connect very well, honestly. I connect very well with them, they connect very well with me. That's helped me keep them here at McNeese and in Lake Charles, I think. And so, and then when we're on court, we're just having fun. Our practices are energetic, they're upbeat, they're intense, I'm intense, I yell, like in a good way, I'm loud, I yell, like when we're at matches, you won't see me just, like if you do see me crossing my arms and my legs here, it'll be a rare occasion, but just intense and fun and competitive. We do compete a lot with each other in a good way, but these girls thrive. Like you'll see them in the locker room playing, Clue and playing cards and things like that, yelling at each other, like, because everybody just wants to win, and sometimes there can only be one winner. So just making it very enjoyable for them has been like my secret sauce. Yeah,
it's a secret sauce of a winning formula so far, at least. When did your real love for tennis start, and how did that kind of manifest into becoming a head college coach?
So I started playing tennis early on. My best friend at school was playing tennis, and I wanted to play tennis, and a month later she stopped playing tennis, but then somehow like I was good at it, and I started practicing every single day early on. Like I think at 6 years old, 7 years old, I was already like, I wanted to go every day, like if I wasn't going, like I didn't want to just go home after school. That was not, for me, that was like, that was wrong. Why are we not going to the tennis courts? And I was pretty competitive as a junior. I kind of peaked early on, like in my junior years. Some of the girls grew taller than me and stronger than me, and like I just fell a little bit behind. That's when I was like, well, college is the option. We're not going pro here. After I traveled all these countries and my parents had invested all that money, it was like, okay, let's put it to use. College is a great option. You'll get a degree. I actually went to school for marketing, which was my passion at the time. never ever thought about coaching.
Yeah.
But I did have a really good college coach. I loved my college coach. I was at UTSA for 4 years. She was there the whole time I was there, which is like not that common for everybody nowadays to have the same coach for 4 years. And just, you know, like I loved college athletics. And my senior season, towards the end, she took a different job. And I had, you know, looked into the possibility of becoming a graduate assistant, getting my master's, coaching to pay for my master's and all that stuff. And she offered me to go with her. And at the time, I was like, I'm not going to Nacogdoches. Like, you know, I'm from a big city. I played in a big city. I had never lived in a small town. And, you know, my mom was like, it's free, you're going. Like, you know, this will pay your master's. I'm not going to pay your master's if you have an opportunity to do it like this. And that was the best opportunity I ever took, you know, right after going to play at that school for her. And I just instantly loved it. Like, it was tough the first couple of years, just being on the sideline, understanding that, like, you know, now you're not their friend, now you're their coach. Because I was young still, I was right out of college. But just, I loved her coaching style. I loved what she did. I loved college athletics. And when I finished that master's, it was COVID year, and I was like, okay, this was a great taste, but like, I'm not ready for, you know, to go into the business world. And I ended up working for another great coach and one of my mentors nowadays at Charlton State, doing another master's, because, you know, like, I'm an international student. It's, you gotta study to be here and all that stuff. So I got a second master's degree, kept coaching, and at that point, you know, got married, and I was able to continue working there. Like, I was very fortunate. They turned my position into full-time. Like, they wanted to keep me there. We did very good. My second season there, we won regular season outright there in 22. And so, yeah, just like every year it was more exciting. Every year was like, wow, I'm supposed to be doing, this is what I'm going to be doing. Like, forget my marketing degree. That's just a piece of paper on my wall now. We do use it, like, you know, when I have to sell McNeese to my recruits, that's where I'm using my marketing tools I learned back in the day. But other than that, like, you know, that's behind me. I'm a coach now. Like, I'm supposed to be doing this. This job does not exist back in my country. Like, you know, I never thought about that because we don't have college athletics. And so now I can't imagine doing anything else. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. You talk about back in your country, and obviously tennis isn't as big as it is here in the States. Just what kind of, how big is it overseas? Is it like, does it rival soccer, or just how big as a sport is it in Europe?
It's different. It's not a team sport. It's a club sport. It's like you know, like, older people play it. It's like a business sport. Like, you meet up with your business partners, kind of like golf almost. You know, people play tennis with business partners and with clients and things like that. Little kids play it, you know, but not as big, maybe. But we do have great athletes, and so that's been helping, you know, getting little kids. When I started, it was through a program, actually, that was trying to get little kids interested in it. After we had Arantxa Sánchez Vicario, one of, like, the Spanish, you know, all-timers, Hall of Famers. She, like, there was a program through her, like, you know, kind of like they gave scholarships and all that stuff so that they could find the next one. And there's actually, my age, there's actually a bunch of Spanish very good tennis players. A lot of them are around my same age. And then I think that just gives visibility, and that just grows it a lot. Yeah,
and it's interesting to me because like, some of the most famous athletes are tennis players. Obviously Serena Williams, the big one, and but like, it doesn't translate to, like, a lot of people playing or a lot of people watching the sport. So why do you think that is?
I don't know. People say sometimes the matches are too long. They change a couple of rules in college tennis to make the matches a little bit shorter, so they're more, like, oriented for TV and for the fan experience and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't have, like, the perfect answer for that. I wish. They don't televise that many tennis matches. In college, it's hard because when we're playing a dual match, there's 6 courts going at once. So then you can't just, can't just show everybody at the same time. And when you do watch college tennis, some of the networks that offer that, they keep going back and forth to, like, the more interesting courts and this and that, but then it's hard to, like, follow the actual match because, you know, they keep showing you the more interesting stuff. But people follow the Grand Slams and they follow some of the bigger tournaments. You know, it's not like one of these secret sports. It's just not, that accessible to watch. Or there's not like every Sunday, kind of like other sports have like, you know, you watch football on Sundays and all that.
It's just what about tennis do you love so much? What about the sport is drew you to it so heavily when you were a kid?
I think at some point I realized it's a sport of a lifetime. Like you'll play, you know, you go to the club, you're 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, and there's like 80-year-old men like ready to play at 7 in the morning. And to me that was really cool that like everybody can play it, like you know, at different levels obviously and all that stuff. But I always thought like, wow, like what a cool sport that, you know, and you don't need a lot to play tennis per se. Like, you know, you need only one other person. If you want to play soccer, like you need to get a whole team and need another whole team to play against. You need 20 people, 22 people. In tennis, you grab your friend, you can go hit, you know. So that was always really cool for me. And then I came here, like my husband played football in college. Well, his last football game was the last time he ever played football. Because, you know, he's grown now, so he's not gonna
You can't be taking those
play.
hits.
No, please. Football was rough for him in college. And so, you know, for me, I just still play. Like I just had my baby 6 weeks ago and like, I've been dying to like get back on court. I was hitting till, you know, like a few months before I had her. And it's been now a few months that I couldn't play and I'm just like dying to get back on court and to be hitting again and just getting back into it. Hopefully I can get in shape before the girls get back and I can hit with them. But just, it's a sport, it's very accessible. There's courts everywhere. Just you can play. As long as you can stand, you can play. So pretty cool. I wish more people saw it that way.
Do you get out there and compete with the girls then? Do you go back and forth? Or
not compete. I'll play with them. You know, like we were on one of the trips and my assistant was sick. And so I had to jump in. I had an odd number of players and I was 5-6 months pregnant and I was like, I'll jump in. And the girls looked at me like I was crazy. And they're like, no, you're good. And I was like, no, I can play. I mean, I was out of breath, you know, I needed more breaks than them. And I needed my water bottle right next to me. So I kept, you know, hydrating. But no, I mean, it's good to rally with them. I need them to throw the ball at me. And the second they move me around, it gets trickier, but I compete in pickleball still. Me and my assistant coach play, and we still like to compete, so we're going to have to get back at that. Yeah,
I do. I love pickleball. It's a fun sport for sure. We'll go to highlight one of these players that had an incredible year for you guys, Southern Conference Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year, Salome Fleury. Is that how you say that? Or close enough at least?
Yes.
Just what makes her so good?
She's just special. She's one of these kids that is so smart on court, so tricky to play against, and then just her level of competitiveness is unmatched. Like she's just a winner. She's just a competitor. Everything is a competition to her, you know, in the best way possible. And so she just gets on court and she has one goal, and her goal, like, it's not just to win for herself, but she knows she has to bring that point for the team, and she takes a lot of pride in contributing to that point every time. And she's just been amazing for us, and she's been, you know, she's been solid, she's been reliable. She's a great student as well. She's great in the community. You know, like she has her like fans that show up to her matches, and she'll make sure she like high fives them and like goes and talks to them after her matches. So she's a following here in Lake Charles. So no, she's been amazing for us, but she's just different. She's just, you know, like her tennis is, I can't give you all her secrets, you know, but her tennis is very different. It's not something you've seen before. She slices the ball a lot. She just figures out a way to make the ball back each time, and she just refuses to lose. And just
how much of tennis is a mental game, going back to opponent or just doubles as well? Like how much is it mostly just as a mental chess match rather than just like a physical battle?
It is very mental, and I'm brave enough to say that like that's why a lot of people don't make it. It's because they don't have the mental game, and they don't have the toughness. There's very talented athletes out there that lack the other side, and then there's athletes with less skills. You know, you watch the top 100 on the Pro Tour. Some of these girls, you like, if you don't know a lot of tennis, you'd be like, she doesn't look that good. Like she's not, but then she's so smart, so tough, you know. So you gotta have one or the other, and like the ones that have both, then that's why they're so good. But you know, here in college, one of the things we work on in the fall a lot is their toughness. You know, we have weeks where everything is targeted to like being tough and like, you know, like we'll wake them up early and we'll have tough practices and the days will be long and all that stuff, just to get them to understand that, like, you know, you can do all these hard things and you're capable and you thrive under these situations. And, you know, and all of my kids are tough. They're tough as nails. So that's why we've been successful as well. And so a lot of it is mental. They're very strong mentally. A lot of them got better in college. A lot of them brought a lot of it. They were all capable of being that tough. Sometimes they just needed to like learn, you know, or realize that they are that tough. So yeah, no, it's a very mental game. We see a lot of talented kids in some of these teams in the conference, and they're just not as successful because they just don't have the mental side.
Yeah, that's the dichotomy of both of those obviously makes it a fun watch and a fun play. I assume I'm not very good, so I don't play much. But you said you were returned the whole roster, obviously we'll call it your freshman year to your sophomore year. Is that maintaining through your junior year now?
Almost. We lost one, and then we had an injury this past year to one of our top players. So she took the year off. She'll be back on court. She's good now, and she's taking the summer to get back into it. We're very, very excited to watch her compete. The community is very excited to watch her compete. She played last fall, and she was very good. She got a lot better, came from a different school in the Southland. So, you know, we took their #1 player, brought her here, had a great fall, and then we lost her right before season. But she'll be back, so that's very, very exciting. And then we're bringing 2 new ones that I'm very excited to watch them compete. So yeah, we're adding, you know, 3 new faces to our lineup and have the rest of them as well. So it's going to be a great mix. Yeah.
How much is that loss in the tournament motivating these girls going into the year?
I think it was good for it. Like, we'll be better because of it. You know, the first year I kept through season, I kept telling them, you know, you deserve to win these matches, but we kind of need to lose these matches. You know, you're not going to win everything the first year you show up. You got to work harder. Maybe they wouldn't be here if we won everything.
Once again, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully this encourages somebody to come watch you guys. I know I'm going to try my best to come out and get a couple of your games, get you guys out on TV as much as possible, because it sounds like you definitely deserve it.
Thank you. Yeah, the girls are exciting to watch, and they deserve all the credit and all the support. So yeah. Like I said, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to this this awesome episode of The Playbook, and we'll see what other McNeese coach we can have on next week. But for now, go check out McNeese Women's Tennis. Sounds like it's a good time, and we'll see you next week.